Pop Century is one of Disney World's cheapest hotels, and it comes with a major perk. But is that low price enough to avoid Disney sticker shock? And is that perk really worth the premium you'll pay to stay at Disney World? Hey everybody, it's Chris for AllEars TV and AllEars.net. We're working our way through Disney World's hotels to decide which hotels are the best and the worst, and which ones are perfect for you. Today we're talking about Pop Century, and we got this info straight from you. Plus, the cast has lots of things on this low-cost hotel. Pop Century is one of Disney World's cheapest hotels with an average cost of around $200 to $300 a night. Pop Century celebrates the decades of the 50s to the 90s, and on the grounds you can find decor like a huge Rubik's Cube, a giant laptop, Lady and the Tramp, Mr. and Mrs. Potato Head, a giant foosball table, and lots of other nostalgia. Most importantly, Pop Century is located on the Skyliner line, so you have the option of both bus and Skyliner transportation around Disney World.
Pop Century is a value resort at Disney World, and it gets a lot of hate just because it's a value resort, which I don't think is totally fair. You have to have a certain mindset when you're going into it. Of course, a value resort is not going to have the same level of amenities as a deluxe resort. I mean, there's a reason for that. That's why Disney has different classifications of resorts. Pop Century is a value resort, so it's on the lower end. Pop Century is also all about the nostalgia. You go through each decade, and there are things around that resort that kids today don't even know what they are.
There are a few notable things about Pop Century. So of course, the price, that's always notable. It's gonna be one of the cheapest places you can stay in Disney World, and I think that's something to really acknowledge. I also think that the amazing decade-themed buildings are really cool. It's over the top, it's big, it's like that classic Disney Imagineering with the giant statues. I think it's notable that there are 3 pools. Who doesn't love multiple pool options? And I also think it's notable that it's near the Skyliner.
I think Pop Century was definitely designed for families, and I think families benefit from staying at Pop Century. One, because it is definitely on the cheaper side, and when you got a big family, you want to get, as many rooms as possible to make sure you don't have 8 people fit in one bed. I don't recommend that. Don't do that. You've got great theming. Now, is that theming a little gaudy? Maybe. But kids like bright colors, right? They like giant keyboards. They like giant Lady and the Tramp things, statues. I mean, definitely giving off family vibes, right?
One thing you're going to want to keep in mind when staying at the Pop Century Resort is that it is a very popular hotel for travel groups such as cheerleaders for cheerleading competitions. So when you are traveling, make sure that you look at those dates, because ultimately you could be staying there with a lot of other people.
Pop Century is a big hotel with a motel vibe. The buildings can feel quite spread out, and each room is accessible via doors on the outside. But the size of the grounds can have you walking quite a distance from your room to the main lobby.
The resort is spread out. It is pretty big. Depending on where you are, where your room is, you could be walking quite a bit just to get to the main lobby and to get to the bus stop at the front of the resort.
Because Pop Century is pretty big, we think that you probably should request a room in the 50s area so that way you can be a little bit closer to the lobby. Of course, that's not guaranteed, but you can always try it out.
The Skyliner gets you to Epcot or Hollywood Studios with a connection at Caribbean Beach Skyliner Station. Because of the Skyliner, buses don't always run to Epcot and Hollywood, so if buses are your preference, it might not be the best situation for you.
So right next to Pop Century, there is a bridge that connects to the Art of Animation Resort. And on that bridge, that's where the Skyliner is. And that is a huge plus. I mean, having your... other than the buses, and which again, the buses just can take a long time. Let's say you see a bus kind of pull away right as you're walking up to the bus station. Could be another 30 to 40 minutes. So having something like the Skyliner that is right literally there for you. Not everybody has access to the Skyliner, so that is definitely an awesome travel situation for you. Especially if you're planning to go to Hollywood Studios and Epcot, the Skyliner will take you right there, baby.
One of the major perks of staying at the Pop Century Resort is access to the Skyliner. However, just like any other Skyliner resort that does come with potential downside, if there is bad weather, the Skyliner could close and you are going to need to make alternate plans to get to whatever perk you are trying to get to.
There are no suites like at Pop Century's sister hotel, Art of Animation, but double rooms include Murphy beds that transform into tables, which gives the room a bit of extra space during the day. There are several different pool options, but as with other Disney World value hotels, there are no slides or a ton of frills. If you get hungry, you can get Mickey waffles for breakfast or basic theme park food like pizza and burgers later in the day from Everything Pop Shopping and Dining.
It's great for families who are trying to stick to a budget. Of course, value resorts in general are going to be your go-to options for that, or even off-property. But if you want to stay on Disney World property and want to stick to your budget, value resorts are a good way to go. And I really do like Pop Century. I think it's got great theming. It has everything that you're going to need, all of the basic necessities, but it's not going to have any of those extra fun added amenities. But depending on what kind of vacation you're going to have, you may not need all those extra amenities. If you are planning a Disney World trip where you are going to be in the parks from park open until park close, and you're only going back to your resort to sleep, this is a good option.
The thing about Pop Century is, who knows if it's really worth the price. But we think that you're paying for the convenience of the Skyliner, because it is convenient at Pop Century, and you get other Disney transportation, which is really nice to have multiple options to get you from one place to the other. We also think if you spend a lot of your time in the parks, that Pop Century could be a great option. It's not as expensive as other resorts, you get the Skyliner, and it's a fun place to stay. So if you're gonna be in the parks a lot, we think Pop Century is a good option, because maybe the rooms aren't as big, but they'll get the job done.
Okay, so what do AllEars readers think? Reviewer TL Zach said, Pop has always been our go-to resort and the Skyliner has been a game changer. Now you have access to not only Art of Animation, but Caribbean Beach and Riviera dining after a short Skyliner ride.
I absolutely love the Skyliner. As soon as it opened, it became my favorite form of transportation. Number one, just because it's fun. But also the Skyliner totally changed the game for all of the resorts that it is attached to. So Pop Century, Art of Animation, Riviera, Caribbean Beach, and it just completely changed the game for Disney hotels, especially Pop Century. So before, Pop Century only had buses and you couldn't really super easily get around Disney World, but that Skyliner gives you access to all of those resorts that I just mentioned that have amazing food. I love the Riviera for food, and you could quickly get there with the Skyliner, but also it gives you very quick access to two Disney World parks, Epcot and Hollywood Studios, which is a complete game changer for Pop Century, and that is a very big added perk.
An anonymous reader said Pop Century was the perfect fit for a young adult trip on a budget. The standard room is spacious for having two beds, especially if you leave the Murphy bed up, and the bathroom has one of the nicest showers I've seen at a value hotel.
For the price of these rooms, we think they actually do offer pretty good basic amenities. Of course, it's not as big as Art of Animation, the rooms aren't as nice, but if all you do is sleep in your Disney World hotel, I think this is a really great option. This is definitely where I have chosen to stay before when I was balling on a budget. And with the recent renovations, I think it's pretty nice. You get what you need, it does the job. Is it gonna be the nicest hotel in Disney World? Absolutely not. Is it gonna serve a purpose? Yes. Will it be cheaper than other options? Also yes. I think given what they give you, the price isn't that bad.
One great thing about the rooms at Pop Century are that they come with the Murphy bed, and that is easy to just fold up, and then you have an entire living space when you are not sleeping in there.
Another anonymous reader advised, this hotel I would skip over. The All-Stars are equal quality rooms and the consistency of the bus is superior to Skyliners. No question about it.
Alas, anonymous person, you are correct. The All-star resorts are, they're very similar. Really, the only difference is the decades. They're not, you don't see the 50s and 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s. You know what? They still have the giant, like, character statues. It's still that vibrant kind of gaudy color scheme kind of situation. And the rooms aren't that different either. I think you just have to check and see, because prices are different year round, and so I think you just have to like choose one and go for it and say this is the one that I have chosen, because All Stars and Pop Century, they do have a tendency to fill up, so that way you have both there just in case, but they are very similar. The only thing that Pop Century has over All Stars is the decades.
Pop Century pros and cons. The pros: you get Skyliner access at a low-cost hotel with recently refurbished rooms. The cons: you have spread out buildings with one food location and the theming is okay. Still not sure? Let's get some final thoughts.
Overall, I think Pop Century is a great option for people who want to stick to their budget or for people who are not going to spend a lot of time in the resort. I've stayed at Pop Century before. I will stay there again, probably multiple times in the future. For me, it has everything that I need. It's got a room and a bed and bathroom, and for the most part, that's all that I really need on a Disney vacation because I'm going to be spending most of my time in the parks.
I think the price is good. I really love being close to the Skyliner and having access to that transportation. And I actually really like the refurbished rooms. I have stayed in them personally, and I was really pretty impressed. I mean, I was genuinely blown away. That being said, the buildings, they're spread out. If you're not looking for a big, long walk, this might not be your best option. There are definitely Disney World hotels that are smaller, they are more compact. You're not walking all that way just to get to transportation.
I mean, if you don't intend on spending a lot of time at your resort or like trying to have this like nice bougie experience and you literally using the hotel for what it was meant for, which is sleep and a continental breakfast, which they have better dining options than that. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying if you're using it for what a hotel was intended to be, which was for literally a place to put your stuff and sleep, then Pop Century is great, and I cannot recommend this enough. This is definitely this Pop Century and All Stars are the best places for families. These are for you.
If you're staying at a value resort, I think Pop Century is one of the best options. It is not going to be quite as inexpensive as the All-Star resorts are. However, you are getting some nicer, newishly kind of redone rooms. I would say we could call that new. And it's on the Skyliner. How can you possibly beat that? It really is just great transportation, a pretty good price, and nice rooms.
If you have a strict budget but you want to stay at a Disney World hotel, Pop Century can be a good option, especially if you like the convenience of the Disney Skyliner. But if you want a spacious hotel room or a few more amenities, you might want to opt for a pricier Disney World hotel. Of course, keep in mind that what's good for one person might not be good for you, but that's why we research and review to help you make the best decision for you. Want more opinions and information? Do a search on AllEars.net for Pop Century, and you're going to be a little blown away by the info you find. For the rest of you, how would you vote? What are your thoughts on this place? Let us know in the comments. This is Chris for AllEars.net. See you next time.